What's up, people? It's your boy Levelhead back with another video. And this is something that I want to talk about because I feel like it's warranted. I feel like it's deserved and earned. And I know that this is a little different from me, but I'm going to do it. Now, we all know that for the most part, this channel is Nintendo focused. The podcast is an all-encompassing podcast because we have a plethora of minds coming from many different backgrounds, but even there, most of the time, Nintendo is the dominating conversation. And especially now with the Switch being pretty much the most talked about thing at the moment. Not to say that the PlayStation and the Xbox don't have things to talk about, but for the most part, the Switch is the conversation piece. And I would say some of that is because of me being the primary person on the podcast. I know my boy K-Bum has to endure my Nintendo love, but I had to endure his Sony love. But we try to be neutral with our conversations and trying to have it diverse and not just Nintendo dominated, even though sometimes that is the case. Nintendo dominates the conversation. But I feel like Sony deserves level heads, kudos, praise, commending, because I believe that Sony has been consistent, the most consistent platform other than, and I don't even know if I can really say this with Nintendo, as far as home console, maybe handheld. Nintendo has been very consistent with their handheld devices, but on the home console front, Sony has been consistent since the introduction of the PlayStation, the OG, the original one. And I just been watching. Now, back in the day, like I said, I used to have a real bias and, I had a problem with the other two platforms with Sony and Microsoft. And somewhat Sega too, but mostly Sony and Microsoft because of the crew that I hung with and just how biased and hateful they were towards Nintendo and their platform with the whole kitty this and they don't want to play these games. And I would have to get into those conversations with my boy D. Rick and my boy John Brown and K-Bum 20 when I ran into him and he had the same rhetoric. And while he upstairs in one of the places we used to hang out playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, but he couldn't play nothing on the Nintendo. But then when I bring Mario Kart up, he'd change his he'd change and play that. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm laughing. But I gotta give Sony praise because Sony adapts. One thing Sony does is Sony tries to make sure that the average gamer, the most casual gamer, is taken care of, is pleased, is fulfilled if they bought a PlayStation. And they also do the same with the hardcore. Every feature, they try to make sure everything that is standard in gaming is on their platform, is available to be enjoyed on their platform. And one thing they do, if the previous platform didn't have it, they will either upgrade that platform to have it, or the next introduction or the next entry platform will have it. Like I remember when Nintendo came out with the Wii and they had the motion control and all that, Sony added 6 axes to their PlayStation DualShock controller to compete with the Wii remote. That's why they added it. And it didn't get much. It didn't get used much, but it was there just in case someone wanted to use it. I remember when I was doing this, and then this thought came from yesterday. I was playing NBA 2K18 on the PlayStation 4. And I noticed that, and I knew this, but I never really paid any attention to it, but it really dawned on me yesterday. As I was playing the game, I noticed that the controller has a speaker in it, and the controller was emitting sound that was not on the TV. It was on the controller. And the first thing that popped in my mind was the first controller that I ever saw do that was the Wii remote. So it had sound in it. So Sony put sound in their controller. Now you might say Sony's copycat, Sony is this, Sony is that. But you know what? I can't knock their shamelessness and their willingness to be called copycats just to ensure that their fan base is getting what is considered something good or an addition to gaming. Sony is like this. If another company does something they think is a good idea, Sony don't mind adapting and adding that to their platform just to ensure that their fan base and those who buy their platform has that. So they play like, okay, prime example. I think it was the PlayStation 3 that didn't have cross game chat. I think that's what it did. I think it had voice game chat. It just didn't have cross game chat. Well, what did Sony do? PlayStation 4, you got both voice chat and cross game chat. Also, Sony improved their online services to compete directly with Xbox Live to the point that now, I don't know who you could say is better. I would probably say, based on all the conversations I hear in the games that Sony give you versus what Microsoft gives you with the Xbox brand, I would say that most would say Sony's offering with their online services is now better or on par and maybe marginally better than Xbox Live. But that's what Sony does. Sony continues to adapt, adding those things, adding those intricate pieces that other companies perfect or other ideas that other companies bring to the table. They are not scared to say, hey, Nintendo, that was a good idea. I'm going to make me a motion controller. Maybe no one will like it, but it's going to be there just in case they want that. Hey, Microsoft, I like to connect. We had an iToy. I'm going to improve that technology and give the same tech that you gave to my audience. They may not use it. They may not even want it. But those who want what you are doing with yours can enjoy it on this platform as well. And that's why they stay number one when it comes to their home console. I look at the Nintendo with the Switch. The Switch, to me, is the most right move. I don't know how else to say it. It was correct. It was the perfect gamble. Nintendo made the right move with the Switch. Nobody can argue that. But then they do this, though. With all the success, they put something out there that they have to fight and have to struggle with that unnecessarily, like the online. The fact that we got to go through an app and all this to get online when they could have just implemented that service like all the other companies have, that they have in the past, and just improved it. No, they make another hurdle that they have to jump through for their success. Even though they're successful, the Switch had to jump through even more hurdles to continue to have that success. Whereas Sony is like, no, man, if it's already been proven a good idea, I'm not going to try to make it different I'm just going to take that and add it to mine. I just reform it. Yeah, I put a glowing ball on the front of our motion controller, but I guarantee you it's doing what the Wii remote do. And in some cases, it did more than the original Wii remote done. And I think it was even better in some cases than Motion Plus. So I can't sit back as a fan of gaming, and even as a Nintendo fan, for being my primary gaming choice, console or company. I gotta give Sony they dues, man. First, and also they're stepping it up with their first party offering. Sony has found their lane. They have found their niche. Sony does great story-driven, epic, graphical, awe-inspiring games. Uncharted, now Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us, God of War, all these heavily story-driven top quality, visually stunning games. That's their niche. If you notice, Sony is just, that's their lane, and that's what they do, and they keep doing it. And then other games that I can't even think of at the moment that they're doing. So no longer are they just spitballing stuff at the wall and hoping that something stick like they were doing for a minute on the PlayStation 3. No, they found their lane and they sticking with it. And then what they don't do great, they keep good relationship with third party to add those other genres that they don't do so well. Whereas Microsoft first party is horrible. And the greatness that they did have with their first party, they didn't maintain it because I don't think they worked on these development companies themselves. They just bought them. Like, look what they done with Rare. And they lost other ones because of all the restrictions and what they wanted done and how they dealt with them. They lost some of these. Like, I think it was the people that made Halo. Now that Halo series went to garbage because the original company that was making it, or developers that was making it, is no longer making it. Because their relationship with Sony went bad. I don't know all the details of it, but I know that much. But even though I'm a Nintendo fan through and through, and I can't wait to another week or so so Odyssey come out, I got to give Sony their dues. I do. I like Sony. I've grown to enjoy Sony as a company. I appreciate what they do for their fan base, and I appreciate what they do for gaming. Always making sure that their platform has everything that you will want. Anything that you would desire to have, they make sure if they don't have it, they will have it. And that's why they stay number one. That's my opinion. I would love your thoughts. This is your boy Levelhead signing out. Till next time, folks. Deuces. K-Bum, don't ever say I didn't show some love to Sony. And I know you didn't know I was going to do this, but I just had to say that. Anyway, y'all, deuces.